I'm about to talk about prescription issues with wrapped frames. If that's interesting to you, stick around. Thank you so much for joining me. Welcome back to my home. Please pull up a chair and get comfy. As always, I'm Eyeglass Tyler. I want to answer the question, why won't my prescription work in a wrapped frame? And there could be a few different reasons for this and some of the talking points to handle it. I'll start with the prescription. It's very likely the prescription, although it might be the frame as well. So we'll talk about that. I'll also talk about how thickness might play a role, and I will finish with some alternatives that might be available to you. So giddy up. Starting with the prescription, it's very common that the prescription is too strong for the frame. And to give you a little more info on this and understanding what to expect with your prescription, we actually on our YouTube channel did a series on how to read your prescription. We know it can be a little bit confusing, and so check that out. I actually get into a little bit of what makes for a strong prescription and what can limit your options in terms of frame selection. And so that might give you a better understanding of what to expect for your prescription. But one thing to understand is some prescriptions need a specific curvature for the lens to be able to properly handle your prescription. And there may be some conflict there when it comes to your frame selection, because the frame might need a different lens curvature to fit it appropriately. The biggest issue, however, is going to be distortion. Even if it's physically possible to fit your prescription in the frame, we usually discourage it because of the distortion that it will come with, and it will make them pretty much unwearable. And the way that it's been described is with a term that we use called fishbowl effect. And that kind of is self-explanatory. If you've never experienced this, it's like looking in a fishbowl. It's very distorted, very weird. You can see things clearly. It's unpleasant. It's not a good experience. And so that's one of the biggest reasons that we avoid stronger prescriptions and more wrapped frames. Another very common possibility is that the frame is actually the issue. There are many frames out there that are not designed with prescription in mind. And one of the more common frame designs is the frame with a shield lens. And that is a lens that goes across the whole frame and there's no separation. It's just one single shield lens. These are very incompatible with prescription unless you have the option of an insert that goes behind the shield, or in some rare cases, a shield that has an implant design where the prescription lens is actually implanted in the shield. And there are some issues with that, but just suffice it to say, most of the time, these are not options for prescription. Also, oversized frames, larger frames, the larger the lens, the more potential there is for that old enemy distortion to come into play. So oftentimes larger frames can be counted out of the prescription option. Also, there's a bezel design. The way that the lens is held into the frame can sometimes be impossible to make with a prescription lens. Also, some of those fully rimless designs that have no frame around the lens can oftentimes be an issue when you're trying to deal with prescription. Many, if not most, frames are actually designed for aesthetics. There are only a few brands out there that make the extra effort to design around RX compatibility or with prescription compatibility in mind. And here I'd like to shout out to Oakley and Maui Jim and Rudy Project as a couple that we carry at SportRx that are fantastic, and they definitely keep prescription in mind. So I'd check those out. Now, thickness can play a role here as well. And this kind of goes hand in hand with the strength of your prescription, but also the type of prescription is something that can be an issue. And whether it is a minus prescription versus a plus prescription, they have thickness in different areas. And here I'd like to again point you to that how to read your prescription. I get into that a little bit, but also we did a video on lens thickness comparison when we're looking at different materials. And there actually is some visualizations of where the thickness is in a different type of prescription. And the issue here is that sometimes these different prescriptions can conflict with the frame design and cause excess thickness in areas of the frame where the frame cannot accommodate it. So unfortunately, this might be another factor as to why your particular prescription won't work in a more wrapped frame. Something to look at is, say, a frame with a gasket, which is really fantastic, but if you have thickness in an area that pushes on the gasket, then the gasket can't sit correctly. And so that's obviously a concern there. But this is just one of the many factors that you have to consider when you're looking at a prescription in a more wrapped frame design. And now for alternatives. That may not be the most accurate term to use because I don't know your specific setup. I don't know your prescription and the frame you're looking at. So I can't tell you an exact alternative for you specifically, but I can tell you that there is very likely a great option for you, despite the fact that you may need to make some concessions to the perfect pair based on your specific needs. But I will bet you anything that your needs can be met if you reach out to one of our opticians at SportRx. We can give you some good options and help you find the right pair for you that as closely meets your needs as possible. So hey, check us out, call us. So that wraps up the overview answers for why won't my prescription work in a wrapped frame. Hopefully I answered your questions. If you have more, you can always comment down below and we'll get back to you. Like I said, you can reach out to us also. But just so that you know, if you decide to order from SportRx, thanks to our See Better guarantee, you never have to worry about getting something that you don't like or doesn't work for you. We'll make it right. Just get back to us within 45 days. Also, like I said, we have opticians. Call us and we'll help you get it right the first time. So use this as a resource. Call us. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully this was interesting or valuable. If so, throw us a like. Also, relevant videos to check out there. Subscribe. You're going to hear about them first. You know that. And we have cool stuff on our social media outlets at SportRx, and you should check us out. Thank you again. And thank you, by the way, thank you. And it has also thanks.